Hi, this is Heidi, episode 66, The Lies of Perfectionism. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello, y'all. How is it going? November 2020. Wow, what an interesting year, huh? I'm writing and recording this on Election Day. Lots of uncertainty. We heard my children will continue 100% remote learning for another quarter. I'm wondering, will my senior even go back to school and see people in person, see his friends, play on his varsity soccer team? Not sure. So many I don't knows. That's the phrase that is keeping me centered and stopping me from worrying and just having my head wander. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, and we don't know. I've started a free open Facebook group, Lose Weight and Gain Confidence with Heidi. If you aren't a member of it, join it. We are going to have a fantastic giveaway coming up and just support each other through this holiday season. So many people think that there is no other way other than to get through the holidays by gaining weight. But what if this is the year you lose? Or you feel more in control of your emotions and you use food as fuel instead of enjoyment? I have strong beliefs that our weight, that number being thin, that isn't the goal. The bigger goal is liking ourselves, treating our bodies and minds with incredible respect, and dealing with struggles in healthy ways, not in ways that create more negativity for us. So join the group for weekly challenges, support, tips. It's going to be fun. And that group will have the first access to sign up for my weight loss group program, Lose 13 Pounds in 13 Weeks, which will begin registration in December and the group will start in January. Okay, I've wanted to get back to the topic of perfectionism for many months. Many of us struggle with the weight of perfectionism. I've told you before, I'm a recovering perfectionist. Now, one of the reasons many of us have perfectionist tendencies is that being perfect pretends to be good. Perfectionism is built on several lies, and I want to bring those lies out to the light today. This will help you uncover what you really want more than being perfect and how to dismantle your perfectionist shields and thinking. So first, we have a collective belief that being perfect or flawless is good, that that's a desirable trait. We're taught this outright in school, in society. Go for 100% on anything. The adjective flawless is used in so many advertisements. Just like with a lot of products, the price or perceived value of a diamond or another gem goes down if it isn't flawless and based on kind of possible defects that it might have. I just typed in flawless into my Google search, and ironically, the first page was all, quote, flawless beauty products. So our brain starts thinking a flawless body is even possible, that perfect is good, and that anything less than perfect has less value. And yes, there are possibly products in the world that we do want to be perfect without blemish. I'm not sure what those are, but we are not products. We are humans. Our goal isn't perfection. We aren't more valuable with more or less defects or flaws. So when we believe the lie that perfect is the goal, we feel discouraged and less worthy when we don't meet that, which is an unattainable goal anyway. So do you see the disconnect here? We actually can never attain this manufactured goal. If we're waiting to be happy or feel enough thinking that perfect will bring that, we'll never achieve it. We'll be chasing a destination that doesn't exist. Instead, our work is to embrace and love ourselves now, to acknowledge our humanness includes and is more valuable with our strengths and weaknesses. That the goal is loving our completeness and using it to grow and connect with other people. Okay, the next lie of perfectionism is kind of the flip of that first lie, or the opposite, that failing is bad. or mistakes are bad. The lie that failing means something is wrong with me or that I'm bad. This lie is feeding today's anxiety in adults and youth like crazy. When we freak out over our kids' grades or a fender bender or another mistake, we teach them that mistakes should be avoided. I know I was raised with this mindset, and it really prevented me from taking chances, from trying new things, and being okay at maybe not doing something really well. So I stopped trying in areas where I knew I couldn't achieve greatly. Either I focused too much on what I did wrong, or my sense was that others would focus on this, and I didn't want that to happen. So, what's wrong with making mistakes? What's wrong with trying something and falling on our face? Why is that interpreted as a bad thing? Because it takes courage to try, and more importantly, we learn through those experiences. Often the falling on our face is just a small component of the whole experience. Recently, my parents were asking my daughter why she is now in soccer, because for years she played softball. And Abby laughed and she said, well, maybe it's because the last season I didn't hit the ball even once the entire season. And we laughed so hard. She said it so lightheartedly. She was the one that brought it up. She enjoyed softball for many years. She learned teamwork. She learned to slide into the plate. She loved being with a team. She loved all the fun cheers. She tried so hard. And yes, the last season, she didn't hit the ball once when she got up to bat. But she doesn't interpret that as failing. And she's thrilled to be getting better at soccer now. So how many of us, though, think an entire season of strikeouts is bad? Something to avoid? Mistakes even in relationships, maybe buying stocks that plummet, saying mean things in a heated argument, and much bigger mistakes are part of being human. Those aren't things we want to intentionally do. We don't seek to do those things, but they happen. And without them, we aren't making progress, embracing humility and even dependence on other people. Now, just last week, I shared with my family at dinner that in one of my coaching program calls with Jody Moore, we all were asked to upload our worst coaching sessions, the ones where we thought we bombed, for evaluation in front of the group. Now, that week was my week to be watched and critiqued. And I shared with my family that I did just that. I uploaded a video where I knew I needed help. And I shared with them that vulnerability of that, and also that is how I was learning. I want them to see me being vulnerable and learning just like they are. So y'all, we all have a false sense that success just happens to people. Learn about any entrepreneur, any successful person, and real success is built on one failure after another. But the successful person doesn't see it as a mistake or a failure. They see it as learning and an integral part of the process. So the next lie of perfectionism is that the end goal, the result, is more important than the process. If we seek to be perfect, we focus on the wrong thing. Recently, one of my sons told me of a kind of low grade on a calculus test. He had studied hard, and then he told us that the whole class was going to do a retake of the test. He set up his own tutoring sessions on the weekend with his grandfather. He was prepared. And I forgot about it. And like a week or so later, it came up and I asked him, hey, did you do better? And he reluctantly said, no, not much better. Now, instead of focusing on that end grade, I told him how proud I was for his effort, that he was learning to study, that he was learning maybe even ways of studying that don't work for that subject or that teacher, that I felt he should be proud of his effort and trying. Now, we can see this in almost every part of our life. Look at Olympic level athletes. They're devastated if they don't make the team or if they get silver. Well, maybe they aren't all devastated, but the focus goes to the gold, when in reality, the process that got them there is extraordinary. I trained for and ran a half marathon years ago, only one. It taught me that I'm a 5K girl. The process of training and then showing up to do it was what mattered to me. Long-lasting results come from the consistent practice, showing up, discipline, not from that one-time final event. I'm a slow runner, but I always remind myself I'm faster than if I was on my couch. Okay, the next lie of perfectionism is that other people like perfect people. Our brains think that perfect people have some advantage in life, or our brain thinks that other people will think less of me if they know I'm not perfect. So our brain continues to fixate on perfectionism as the goal because one of our core fears is that being left out of the pack, not being included, is something bad. So we innately have a desire for other people to like us. But perfection isn't what we look for in friends. Connection and even just admiration come from us seeing each other exactly as we are. Connection is created through vulnerability. Of course, we all admire people who do things well. I know I do. I have people I look up to, people I want to be like. I have the greatest respect and connection with people who are being real, who are striving and also tripping up here and there. The people I want closest to me are those who show me what's really going on in their lives. When they're struggling, to me, this shows real trust. It is evidence that another person knows I will respect and honor the things I know about them. Now, one quality of a friend that's important to me is someone who loves me in my weaknesses and struggles, who doesn't judge. See, if we only looked for perfection in others, we are always 100% in judgment mode. We're looking to be critical. Now, real connection is made through acceptance, understanding, and love. The opposite of what perfection pretends to be. I've become very close with one of my sister-in-laws over 20 or so years as we've parented emotionally beside each other, not always physically. I remember breaking down in a huge puddle of tears. I think I was driving on a road trip alone with my boys who were 2 and 3 years old or maybe younger. Mental and physical exhaustion, I think, had just won that day. And I just cried in a heap in her basement in Maryland. 2 toddler boys was hard at the time. And she has cried with me over situations. We've celebrated together and offered each other so much grace and love. She's someone I know I can share anything with and even share my struggles and my insecurities. I know she isn't judging. Now, our connection has grown through being vulnerable and dropping any and all perfectionist shields. So remind your brain other people aren't drawn to me being perfect. In fact, keep asking, how is the opposite true? I know you'll find a ton of examples in your own life. Now, another lie perfectionism gives us is that there are only 2 options, 2 possibilities, all or nothing thinking. Perfectionism says you're either good or bad, perfect or flawed, happy or sad, a success or a failure. Our brain likes only having 2 options because it doesn't have to do much work. But in reality, life is all in the middle. Life is actually all in the gray. It isn't black or white. When we drop this perfectionist shield, it's incredibly liberating and freeing to see so many more options. And we build up our skills to allow so many different pieces of the spectrum to just reside together. Our heads and hearts grow when we accept like that our parents were at the exact same time very wonderful, fantastic parents, and they probably made mistakes. Now, really allow this. Accepting this is the key to then embracing that we're doing the same as a parent. We're doing a ton right, and we're also probably making a few mistakes. And that means we're doing it all the way that we're supposed to as humans parent. Now, really accepting that people have qualities all across the board and that we're all still lovable is such a beautiful mental place to be. See, we are the ones who feel the mental relief, not the other person. My oldest son is applying to colleges now. Imagine if we had this standard of you have to get into these top schools or else your failure is doomed. You're a failure. And I guess there are maybe a lot of parents that do see it that way. We don't. There are so many options, and it's much more important that he finds a place that's a best fit for him, where he can thrive and work towards his potential. And that might look different from another person. Now, this summer, I was speaking with a close friend who I knew had been under long-term stress about a building situation. They felt under pressure for the project to be a success. And they said to me, I knew I made this decision for the building and that at the end, I'd either be thought of as a genius or as a fool. Now, That mindset of only two options created incredible anxiety and worry for them. So every single outcome of the project in their mind was a reflection on if they were a genius or a fool. When in fact, I thought, aren't we all geniuses and fools at the same time? Is it okay that we make some choices that are pretty amazing and then a few others that aren't so great? If we can just allow that, a whole ocean full of anxiety leaves our lives. It's okay to be a genius, pretty average, and a fool all at the same time. I think I actually hit on all of those about every single day. Now, yesterday I was complaining to friends about people who honk a lot. Then last night I drove down the wrong side of a road with my daughter. Luckily, no one was on the other side of the road we took. We laughed about it, and a minute later I honked at someone who was swerving. What if it's all okay? I'm telling you, learning to laugh at ourselves is one of the most liberating qualities we can develop. Okay, the next lie of perfectionism is that struggling is bad, or struggling, discomfort, anything negative should be avoided at all costs. Our brain on default wants us to achieve perfectionism so we can avoid the discomfort of seeing and wrestling with our weaknesses, our mistakes. Most of us parents instinctually don't want our children to struggle. We forget that struggling is how they grow. We forget struggling is what they're on earth to do. We forget that they have classes that they need to take here on earth so they can become the best version of themselves. And why do we think that the lack of struggle is good? What if collectively we're wrong that the easy life is the life to which we should aspire? Most of us don't actively want to struggle in life because we don't like the negative feelings that we have when we struggle, the discomfort, and so on. But at the same time, when we're all pressed to look at it, we know we grow through trials and struggles. So why is it hard for us as parents to see our kids struggle? Why do we even unconsciously want to take those struggles away from them? Again, it's this belief that the negative might hurt them, but emotions don't hurt us. We don't like how they feel, but if we learn to respect the emotions, process them, own that we create them, then suddenly they aren't something to be avoided. Often, this is why I won't try for a bigger, more impossible goal. I want to limit my struggle or growth in some way. I want to limit the negative, but then, y'all, I'm also then limiting my potential, the positive in my life. So by choosing less struggle, by choosing less mistakes, by choosing less failures, I also choose less positive, less growth, and less success. Okay, the last lie of perfectionism for today is the lie that what other people are thinking, what's going on in their brain, is much more important to focus on than our own opinions. Being perfect is all about what other people think, how other people see us, how they are ranking or rating us. And our lower brain on default does care about this. We're all humans. This is going to be something we worry about. Dropping our need to be perfect and perceived as flawless requires us to use our higher confident brain to manage that lower anxious brain. It's much more important what we think of ourselves. What another person thinks of us says nothing about us and everything about them. It tells us about their perspectives, opinions, beliefs. It doesn't tell us about us. I wear white pants all summer and as early in spring as I want and as late into fall as I can bear. And my husband was totally teasing me a few weeks ago about wearing white after Labor Day. And we were laughing about social rules and such. Again, rules about how someone else might judge me. This is totally silly, but our brains do it on white pants and on much more serious things. Now, as my children get older and make their choices about their life, I'm pulling myself totally into my brain to make sure I'm not focusing on what other people might be thinking about them, about me, about our family, about anything. Confidence will come from questioning my opinions, biases, thoughts, and working to strengthen them, and not focusing on what other people think, because I really don't know what other people actually are thinking, and it really isn't my business to manage anyone else's mind except my own. Okay, that's it for today. Make sure you're in my Facebook group, Lose Weight and Gain Confidence with Heidi. This can be the year of an imperfect and healthy holiday season. Reach out to me if you have any questions. When the group coaching starts, I will have just limited spots for private one-on-one coaching packages. So if you want personalized coaching, sign up for a free consult call on HeidiBenjaminson.com. Let your children see you setting and reaching goals. Let them see you making mistakes. Let them cheer you on. You've always hired coaches for them. Now it's time for you to have a coach, and I'd be honored to be yours. Have a great week.